Welcome to Keep Sweet, the Positive World podcast. I'm your host, Joshua Gonzalez, and today let us all settle in and get all nice, good, and comfy for our good bite of good news. And then later on, after that, I have an interview with a hilarious writer and comedian and dear friend of mine where I just cannot stop laughing. And I hope you do too. It's an insane interview, and if you want to just hear me laugh for about 20 minutes, then stay tuned because that is what will happen. But before we get there, for today's good news story, for the first time in 7 months, a Missouri hospital's COVID-19 ICU is empty as we finally start to get a hold of the pandemic and cases are going down. We get good news like this. So Cox Health CEO Stephen Edwards announced that the intensive care unit at Cox Health, which I guess is the hospital that was created during the pandemic, has been vacated. Nurse Sarah Cunningham said she thought she'd never see the day and that it gives her a little bit of hope. And it gives me a lot of hope, and I hope it gives those of you out there hope as well. We are seeing cases go down. We are seeing less hospitalizations, and it is so wonderful to see this COVID ICU unit empty. It's empty, and more will become more empty. And that is just a wonderful bit of news that we have all needed for, 7 months or more. So that's awesome. Let's keep it going. Let's keep doing our part. Let's get vaccinated. Let's be wearing our masks still, and soon it will all be over. And now I am delighted to bring you this interview. I hope you laugh as much as I did, and I hope you find a new friend and someone to follow on TikTok. So today's guest is actor, writer, comedian, TikTok star, and the best meme curator I know. And believe me when I say that there is truly no better feeling in the world than being frozen on stage with him by your side while you are waiting for the audience to stop laughing loud enough so you can continue on with the show. Please welcome to the podcast, Charles Osborne. Hi.
Oh my God, he's here. What on earth? Why did you book him? Someone called deportation.
Oh no.
How are you, baby?
I am doing great, and I already regret this decision.
Oh, honey, my parents said the same thing the day I was born.
Hi, how are you? I miss you so much.
I'm so good. What your listeners don't realize is Josh and I did a show off-Broadway called Midsummer Banquet a year and a half ago now, like almost 2 years ago. And we have not seen each other face-to-face since that ended like a year ago or more. And yet we talk every single day.
Every single day.
Sending each other the shadiest memes and the funniest stuff in our DMs. You will never see it on a public paper trail, but we throw it down, and I love it. I love it. It's like my favorite part of my day.
It's my favorite part as well, and I can't wait to finally see you in person when all of this crazy mess dies down.
I can't wait to see you too. You've been stuck in the house. Have you guys actually left the house now? Because you guys were going for like 100 days.
We did go for about 100 days. And we have been out here and there, but very infrequently. And I think it's been like a month or two since the last time.
It's getting into the stoop kids afraid to leave his stoop phase. I'm just going to put that out there.
Almost, except for I know that like as soon as I get that vaccine and it's like okay and like safer to go, I am never going to be in my apartment again. You'll never find me here.
Yeah.
How have you been doing?
I love it.
Because you spent some time out of the city.
Yeah, I'm out of the city currently. I'm down in North Carolina where I'm from. Shout out to my Southern Queens. I'm visiting family and taking care of family. My mother had a little surgery, like a muscle thing, not like a medical thing. She good. Okay, and so I was taking care of her, and now I'm escaping a New York winter, and that's pretty great. So
lucky. I'm not outside to like deal with it. Which is like the one good thing. It's like, okay, if I'm not going to be outside, at least like these past 2 months, it's been miserable outside anyway because it's so cold. So I'm fine. Yeah.
Good.
I wanted to have you on because during this past hardest year for everyone ever, you are somehow thriving a little bit, at least on TikTok. And I'm just so happy that you are there and you're writing these amazing sketches and putting them out and making so many people happy and making so many people smile. And it's really brought a wonderful levity to a lot of people's lives. And I just want to know more about that and talk more about that. So
Thank
first,
you.
you are very, very welcome. First, I want to know a little bit more about how you got started in performing and comedy. Because I don't think we've ever really had this conversation.
You know, I've starting at performing. Like I've been, a ham since I was a piglet. Okay, like I wanted to do this my whole life. I wanted to be in the theater or performing in the movies, like whatever. My entire life. That's all I've wanted. And looking back, and then as far as comedy, I only noticed that that's what I was doing when I looked back. I was always a funny person and a huge, big personality doing impressions and being, Robin Williams or whatever. But I was also like a classically trained actor and dancer and all these other things. Though you wouldn't know it now that I was a dancer by looking at my body. I don't know if your podcast listeners can hear the sound of my folds rippling over each other, but
I have seen you move, and you are still a fantastic mover.
Thank you, mover shade. Anyway, so I was like, oh, well, I'm going to do drama and I'm going to be all these other things. And it wasn't until a few years ago that I looked back at my resume and I was like, oh, every single thing that I do or book is comedy. And I love comedy. I love making people laugh. And like I say, I'm just trying to spread the smiles. And so gradually the world has just sort of been shifting me into that direction, away from even just comedic roles into just straight comedy. I started doing these little off-Broadway cabaret gigs where we would do 1 million impressions, and suddenly I'm making money doing the thing that I've always been doing anyway.
Dream.
I just took it for granted because it's just who I am anyway. And I'm like, well, it's not really, it's work, but it's not like work,
Right.
And then I started doing club gigs and just getting pulled into all these things. And I did a whole long run at Alan Cummings' nightclub, Club Cumming, where we were doing impressions and sketch comedy, all this stuff. And then you've met me. You know how my brain works. These sketches and these things just sort of fall out of my lips, and these impressions just happen.
Yeah, it's so fast, and it's one of the things that I admire most about you is just how your brain just works so fast with a quip or a line or a perfect impression for the moment.
I don't know. I don't either. I surprise myself. And so you said to me, you should get on TikTok, and I was like, I hate social media. I'm a grandpa.
Mm-hmm. I knew for exactly like your brand and who you are and your like short little succinct funny you're the way you are able to get a perfect joke or 3 out in 10 seconds. I was like, TikTok is the place for you, and you resisted for so long, and I was like, please get on TikTok. You will thrive there, I promise.
And you were right. Like you and 2 other friends of mine, my roommate and Julia and my composer collaborator best friend Leo, they both pushed me. The 3 of you were pushing me, get on TikTok. And I was like, I don't want to. And then one day I just did. And I'd done a couple of things on there. And then I just did one of my things, like just doing a parody. And I did this parody of, it was back when what was that? That Fleetwood Mac song was everywhere.
Oh yeah, the
Dreams. And it was like blowing up and people were like, Gen Z is discovering Fleetwood Mac. And so I did a parody of that as like a boomer mother being like, what are you listening to, sweetie? And the kid's like, this new song from TikTok. And then the mother just like smacks the crap out of this Gen Z teenager. 1 million views in a day.
That was a day that it hit 1 million?
I think it was a day or 2. It was like less than 48 hours, something like that.
Oh my God.
Crazy. And as somebody who has hated social media and who works very hard at their comedy and their videos, but has never had that kind of response or ever been able to get past a critical mass of like 300 best friends, suddenly to have an audience, I was like, I am not giving this up. And so I've posted at least one thing every day ever since. And I've gone from 0 followers to 160,000 in 4 months. And it's just crazy.
Yeah. And that's obviously a testament to the consistency that you have been posting like every single day. Like that's one of the things that I don't struggle with. It's just like something that I can't keep up with like naturally. Like I'm a huge, like I want to post whatever I want to post whenever I want to post it. But the fact that you're doing so much like almost every single day is just amazing.
But see, that's how I feel about you and the gym. Because you do it every single day. And I'm just like, exercise when I feel like it. And then you're just like, look at my rippling abs, and I haven't even left my apartment.
It's just, I have nothing else to do. I have nothing else to do. So why not do a few crunches?
See, I do that, but I wear a few wigs.
So,
but anyway, yeah, that's how I got into comedy and this stuff. Just that
is incredible, and I'm so happy for you. And I'm more happy for all of your followers and all of the people who have gotten to finally see your comedic genius. I'm so happy.
You.
It's like my favorite thing.
Thank you.
So you have had a set of impressions that you have done for many years, like throughout like live comedy shows and things like that. And I love that you're starting to translate them to TikTok. And of course, everyone's favorite, my favorite, is the incomparable Jennifer Coolidge.
Oh, Jennifer Coolidge, the woman from Legally Blonde and American Pie and our best in show. I love her so much.
That is a special treat to all you listeners out there. You got your very own little snippet of Charles's Jennifer Coolidge impression.
I think she was actually here. She's here in my house.
So where did your love of Jennifer Coolidge come from? Where did it start? And how has it stuck with you so long?
Well, one day I just discovered I could do her voice. I'm always trying out impressions in my head and like just privately to myself because I'm, normal. At least on my home planet, I'm normal.
To be a fly in that room.
Girl, that fly is trapped in fly paper and desperate to flee else. So anyway, like I always loved her. Like she's one of these people that I think I'll be like watching a movie trailer and I'll be like, this looks crappy. And then I'll see Jennifer Coolidge is in it and I'm like camping out at the movie theater for a month. Like I will watch anything she does because she cracks me up and I respect her so much as a comedian. Like everything she does is hysterical.
It's hysterical. And she's so consistent at it and she's had such a long career doing it.
And she's one of these people, like what's so funny to me is a lot of people don't actually know her name, but they immediately know who she is. And I'm like, that is the definition of an icon. You are literally an icon. I know your image or your thing, but I you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so I took that sort of theory of that I feel like where like if Jennifer Coolidge is in any movie, it's inherently better. And I just started sticking her in random movies on TikTok. And so it'd be like Jennifer Coolidge in Marvel. And she's like, I am Groot, just like, or, Lord of the Rings, like full of a choke. And it makes everything better. Jennifer Coolidge is Gandalf.
Everything better.
And I'm like, this is my petition for Hollywood. Like, we need a Star Wars spinoff just with like Jennifer Coolidge running a cantina. Okay.
Oh my gosh. So,
anyway, yeah.
So how do you know if she has seen any of your impressions?
As far as I know, no. And I hope that she would like them. It's literally all out of the utmost respect. Like I never am trying to shade her or anything. I respect her and love her so much. So if she ever sees them, I hope that she really enjoys them.
Okay, so now my next mission is to get Jennifer Coolidge to acknowledge one of your videos.
But like, do you want to kill me so young? Because yes. I would die. Evil.
No hesitation, yes. Also, another one of my missions is because I feel like I can be funny when I have a script, right? Or like I have like a scene to go with. Like I understand all of that and I love doing it. But I have never really been able to ideate or like write or create my own comedy, if you will. So I love that you are able to do that. And I'm wondering how are you able to do that so consistently? Like, what is that process like for you?
That is literally like the thing about it is that's just how my brain works. I work at this. I put a lot of work into it. This is like a part-time going on full-time job for me. But it also works for who I am. Like sort of Instagram models or other sort of sort of social media formats never really worked for me and my brain because, you know, like they just didn't quite fit. But TikTok is so quick. It's so quick, and it's all kind of quirky. It's all quirky, weird, interesting. Not interesting. We don't mean like quirky creators.
Yeah.
And that's just how my brain works. So if I get an idea, I write it down. I write it down in like the notes app on my phone. I script the whole thing right there, and then later, like when I have a free couple of hours, I'll film like 4 of these or 10. You know. Right in a row. So it just sort of fits with how my brain already works. I mean, in my family growing up, you had to have a very thick skin to get around because the way that my family shows love is by teasing each other. So from a very young age, it was all about the quips and the wit and the back and the forth and and like one-upping each other without ever being mean, you know. So I guess in some ways it was sort of built in, but again, this is all just the platform supports my weird brain.
Finally. So just as idea, like you'll just be sitting eating lunch, watching a Netflix show, and something will just pop in your head, and you just immediately write it down. Is that like?
Yes.
That is
100%. And that's what I do.
Me.
So I not only write comedy, like, but I also write very dramatic, longer form content that, you know, hasn't been produced. But I write plays and musicals and operas and mini series and movies and all these things. And I do the same thing. I'll get an idea and I immediately write it down because I'm ADD and it will be gone. So that's how I write almost everything. It's just if an idea pops into my head, you write it down. Because I mean, I think a lot of people have really great ideas, but they forget about them and they forget to act on them. And so I try to make sure that I never forget to act on an idea.
I do have a lot of forgetful things. Like sometimes I'll think of like one thing that I'm like, wow, that one thing is so funny or something. But like, I also never want to like, it's just not in me to create my own skit and like do it, I guess not yet. So like, I've always wanted to be like, ooh, this thing is really funny. I want to send it to someone and like have them do it. But then I feel like they won't like that because then it's like, you know, they will not find it funny, A, or B, they'll be like, this isn't my thing. This is your thing that you wrote. I'm like, okay, well.
Well, don't right there, you're editing yourself instead of going, I have a way that might be able to spread joy to somebody. Let me just see, you know, like just try it. And also, if it isn't your thing, don't force yourself to make it your thing. I didn't force myself to make any of this my thing. People just saw it and were like, and enjoyed it. And like, I'm not doing other people's things. I'm not on Instagram with my shirt off. In fact, let me tell you, sir, and that's not shading you with your shirt off all the time.
Sure it isn't.
I was like, a couple months ago, I was like, I really need more followers. I really need more followers. What gets followers quickly? Taking off your clothes. So I was like, let me do a kind of funny video where I'm like shirtless, just like wearing underwear or whatever. And like, you know, people will be into that. They'll be into anything. Girl, I posted that video, that 10-second video. 10 seconds later, I lose 10 followers. Then I lose 20. Then I lose like 30. I was like, I am not even insulted. I'm actually impressed. Like, this has to be an internet Guinness Book of World Records. I'm like, people are into play on the internet. They are into play on the internet. Charles, Beyonce Osborne, takes off his shirt and they flee like roaches when the lights come on.
I'm sure it was a different reason. I
love it. That's hysterical. But it just goes to show you, I'm not doing everybody else's thing. So you shouldn't try to do do you do what makes you happy. And you know, if you look like me, don't take your clothes off. I'm kidding.
I love it. And I mean, yeah, that is so true to just, you know, do your thing and like what you like doing and what works for you. I mean, that's just can never be said enough. And I love that so much. So now that you are like, obviously you have huge proof of concept that your writing and your like sketch writing and your joke writing is solid and good. Do you see yourself like wanting to maybe do more writing? Like, would you ever like want to like write for a show?
Absolutely. And to me, this is a means to an end. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily. I've never really been interested in just becoming just a social media star, which I'm not there yet. But like,
You are
whatever.
on your way.
A star Osborne. But I definitely, that's what I want to do. I want to work in television comedy. I would love to write for like SNL or something like that because sketch comedy comes so quickly to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm turning some of my longer sketches into actual scripted content for that reason, and I'm also withholding certain sketches that I think might be
Mm-hmm.
better served elsewhere. So that's what I want to do. I'm also writing a movie with a friend right now. I can't tell you what it's about because it's a really good idea. But I'm working on writing a lot of television comedy because that's
Ah,
ultimately what I want to do.
brilliant. And that is exactly what I was hoping you would say because I also think that it would be amazing. Like you would kill that scene. And I hope that someone hears this out of all the millions of listeners that I have. Someone hears this and
Oh
is
my
like,
god,
snatch you up for SNL or
I would
give you
love
your
it.
own
Hire
show
me.
because it would be
Yeah,
amazing.
I would love to. I mean, sketch comedy is kind of what I've always wanted to do. Like
Mhm.
growing up, I mean, we both are theater nerds, and
Mhm.
I wanted to be on Broadway for the sake of being on Broadway, but my dream show was an off-Broadway show, Forbidden Broadway, which is all like it's like Saturday Night Live for Broadway.
Mhm.
They
Yeah.
do sketches and parodies, and I grew up listening to that, and I was like, this is exactly what I do. It's impressions, it's sketches, it's parodies, and that was my dream show. And through a very long series of events, it ended up being my first show that I did in New York, which was my
Yeah.
dream for my very first New York show to be Forbidden Broadway. So like sketch comedy has always been kind of a part of my brain and who I am, and the fact that I'm able to do it every day and people enjoy it
Yeah.
is incredible. It's
Uh,
incredible. I wake up to DMs from like from Greece or just like all over the world, over the country, being
you,
like,
you can name one country.
yeah, the Greece and Athens and Greece. Oh my, Greece lightning.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, just people being like, I was having a crappy day and this made me smile or this made me laugh, and I'm like, that's the point. I think our point
Yes.
as artists is to make the world a happier, more beautiful place, however we
Exactly.
ourselves specifically can. So that's it for me. So just to be able to do that is great. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
and you're doing such a good job at it. Please don't stop. It makes me smile. It makes everyone else smile. I it's been incredible to see the people who share your videos and like they're random people I know from other avenues of life, or they're like big time people who are like, oh my God, this guy is so funny. And I'm like, that's my friend. And yes, he's so funny. I know him.
Well, thank you. It's it's amazing, and I don't know. It's really is a crazy ride for me, just because I've been like, social media has been very hard for me for years and years. Like I'd
Mm-hmm.
work very very hard on videos or something, and it wouldn't get anywhere. Like I said, it
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't just get past like 300 views, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, just doing it consistently and doing it as myself, like what makes me happy and what makes me tick specifically, as opposed to trying to fit into somebody else's mold,
Yeah.
suddenly just has blown up. Like, and I'm not throwing away my shot, as the
Yeah.
song goes.
Oh, yes.
Oh.
Okay. And I also just like, I can't imagine how good that's been for you. Like, I mean, how it would be for anyone going through 2020 and going through the hard, rough year that it is, and having something so great and wonderful that brings about so much good to focus on and put your energy into. And like, hopefully, whenever you create something, it always does. It always, wait, is that right?
It
Grammar?
always do.
it
God,
always do.
obviously.
It always do make you feel better.
It always do had done did.
And which
No,
way was?
that's absolutely true. And like, there's so many times that I've been like, you have bad days. Everybody has bad days. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I'm having a bad day. I'm really frustrated. I'm depressed, or like I'm sad, or just like something, whatever. But then I'm like, I've got to do that thing. And so I'm like, I'll go into shooting a video like very upset and frustrated. And then like within 5 minutes, I'm so happy, just like because I'm making it, and the purpose is nothing more than to make people smile, just to spoon everybody a bowl of sunshine. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like, so just doing that in and of itself is centering for me, just to like every day I'm going to spread a little joy every day in the way that I specifically can, with no expectations. And just that it's almost like a ritual at this point, and it's really, really helpful. And then when you get feedback, you know, you and I are actors, we're addicted to external feedback, you know, like heroin. So I'm like, oh my God, somebody enjoyed this. Ah! And it just like puts you on this little high, even if somebody just puts like a smiley face emoji, you know? So it's fulfilling and gratifying and addicting in a good way.
And I mean, that is like the one thing I miss about performing, because we haven't been able to do a lot of performance lately because of the pandemic. But of course, the one thing I miss is like, no matter what kind of day I was having, like getting to go and do a show and like bringing some delight with art to people always made me feel better and made me feel like I had a purpose again, and just made me feel great. And I miss that, and I can't wait to do that again soon, hopefully.
You will, baby. We all will. We're going to get through this panini. We're going to come out the other side. And that is the thing about about being an artist, is that when you're doing your work, it takes you out of yourself.
Yeah.
It absolutely takes you out of yourself for the moments that you're doing it. So no matter what you're going through, you have to kind of drop it at the door so that you can focus on that and do that. And just that practice of letting it go helps you to ultimately let go. And you know, when you do have to come back and actually face and deal with those problems, it gives you that breathing space by the very fact of just doing your art. And you make people happy. So like, it's a happy meal.
Which, by the way, they now have Pokemon cards. So go get your Pokemon cards from your Happy Meal.
Yes. I learned that from you. You let me know.
Yay.
Yes. What is your favorite Pokemon? Do your listeners know that you love Pokemon?
I'm sure they do. I mean, because most of them came from my Instagram and stuff. So I'm sure they know how much I love Pokemon.
Right. I mean, gotta catch them all. You did.
I did. I caught them all. And my favorite is Squirtle, who was my very first Pokemon. When Pokemon Blue came out, my very first starter was Squirtle, and he's been with me ever since, and he's my favorite.
Your Texas just came out, and I don't get to hear it often, and I'm very happy. He said, my starter was Squirtle. It was ours, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it immensely. I would like your listeners to rewind so that they can hear it too. Can you rewind for a bit? Aren't you pleased? It's so charming. It's charming.
No, I fight so hard, but I think it's maybe because you are in North Carolina and you're having a little bit of a twang too. So
I do. I got a little bit of twang.
You're making it come out of my mouth.
If I had a nickel.
Okay, so thank you so much for being on the podcast. I think we have to wrap it up before things take a turn.
Before we
Where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at A Star Osborne. My name is Charles Osborne, and my handle is A Star Osborne.
Do you want to spell that?
ASTAR, A Star. Osborne, OSBORNE. A Star Osborne.
And I'll put that in the show notes as well, so everyone can just click that little link and find you. And if you do go on his TikTok and see all of his videos, make sure you like my comment on his videos, because I am also on a mission to always be the top comment in his videos. And it has gotten so hard now because people, like, now that you have such a huge following, your videos get so many likes and views so fast that by the time I see it and I get to it, there's already like 6 comments, and one of them is already way on its way to become the top comment, and I have no chance.
It's hard. I see you struggling.
How dare you?
That's not what I meant, but that was the next word coming out of my mouth, and I realized what I was about to say. No, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Like, it just blows up. Like within I usually post around 5:00 every night, and within an hour we're up to like 50,000 views. It's just nuts.
It's nuts. Yeah.
Nice. So follow me, y'all.
Follow him. He's amazing. He'll make you smile. And thank you so much once again for being here. I love you. I miss you. And I can't wait to see you in person soon.
I cannot wait to see you either. And please send me more shady memes because I need these things in my life.
I always will.
Yay. Bye, y'all.
Whew. Oh man, it was so wonderful to get to talk to Charles again. I hope you guys enjoyed the interview and share it if you did, rate, review, all those things really go a long way to help the podcast get out there and help support me. And so many of you guys have already been doing it, which I absolutely love and appreciate. Thank you so much. If you have anything that you want to suggest for the podcast, any good news stories, any guests you would love to see on the podcast, feel free to email me at keepsweetpodcast@gmail.com. And also feel free, if you have specific questions or anything you want to say, feel free to send in a voice memo and we'll maybe put a few on the podcast and I'll answer some questions or whatever. I'm making this podcast for you guys, so I want to make it whatever you want to make it. So yeah. And I look forward to talking to you all again next Thursday. And as always, keep sweet.